Welcome back to the Basics Basic. We are doing our December TBR, the last TBR of 2025, which is insane. I have a number of books I'm really excited to read and want to put on this TBR. I also have books I'm trying to read in my 10 before the end. I also have a book club book I need to read. So there are a lot of things I'm hoping to get in this video, and we'll just have to see if they come up or not. But basically, I have my TBR jar. In this jar are a bunch of titles of books I am interested in reading. I will pick 2 books for each TBR spot, and then I will select one of the 2 to put on the TBR as a whole. There's a lot of numbers, and I'm not sure that was clear, but let's just get into the first book, and I think you'll track with me. So, without further ado, actually, we have a due to go about. I don't think that's how that phrase works, but we have to talk about my November TBR. So as we all know, I was really trying to get a clean sweep, which means I wanted to read all 6 of the 6 books I put on my November TBR. I have currently completed 4 of them, and at the time of this filming, I am halfway through the other 2. One's nonfiction, one's fiction. That's why I'm reading them both simultaneously. Anyway, I am hoping to announce in my next weekly update that I have read both of those 2 books and have completed my clean sweep, but we'll have to see. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna happen. I will stay up late to make this happen because I've really enjoyed the books that I had on my November TBR, but I have 2 that are still question marks, and we will see in my next update if those are the books that have been completed or if I failed. I'm not planning on doing a clean sweep for December. Obviously, I want to read as many of the books as I can, but I'm not putting pressure on myself to do that. A, because I'm hoping I've completed my November clean sweep for HRCYED, so I don't need that for the spots on the board. But B, because it's the holiday season and there's a lot going on in December in my personal life, so I'm not sure how much reading I'll actually get to, and I don't want to put pressure on myself to read specific books, especially because I'm a bit of a mood reader. So I have been very good in November about prioritizing these books, but there are some books that I am dying to get to, and I'm even reading some of my TBR books, wanting to read something else, which is just not a fun way to read. Anyway, now without further ado, let's get into our first option for TBR book 1. We have The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. This is a book I'm very excited to read. My sister's sister-in-law, I follow her on Goodreads, and she has been reading through these, I think they're novellas, and she has loved them. So I put it on my TBR, and she commented, she was like, you need to read these ASAP, they're so fun. So I would be very interested in reading these. From what I understand, this is historical fiction. It is about the different excursions and happenings of this girl named Emma in, I think it's the Victorian period, but I could be wrong. From my understanding, it just is her journal entries about the crazy shenanigans with her aunt and cousin as she is in London. This is definitely an option I would be excited to get to. And we all know my camera is not very good, so even if I hold this up, it's hard to actually get a good read of the prompt. So you're just gonna have to trust me when I say it is what it is. The second option for book 1 is Tales from the Cafe. This is the second book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. I read the first one in, I want to say June this year. Really enjoyed it. I want to read this book for HRCYED because I need to read a book that is set in Asia or from an Asian author, both of which would be accurate in this book. But I don't know. I feel like I need to be in the right mood for this book, and that could be the December mood. Like, it could be the cozy on a couch. Basically, this is a cafe where there is some time traveling elements together. They're very wholesome stories about different relationships, from siblings to parent-child relationship to lovers to exes to all sorts of different dynamics, and people can come into this cafe and basically go and revisit these conversations or experiences or understand more about themselves. And it's very wholesome and it's very introspective, and I'm a very introspective person, so I'm never mad about an introspective moment. So I need to pick between The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. Why is it so hard for me to say? Emma M. Lyon and Tales from the Cafe. We're gonna go with The Unselected Journals because I need a funny read. I feel like that will be the perfect break. I've been reading a lot of high fantasy recently, And honestly, either of these would be a good break from those books, but I think I want to read something that's quirky, historical fiction. I haven't read historical fiction in a long time and I really enjoy it. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, Volume 1 is going on the TBR. The first option for book 2 is Crying at H Mart. Okay, this is a book I've had on my TBR for a very long time. I have it somewhere. There it is. It's stuck. All right. This is the book that I pulled off my TBR. I actually have a physical copy of this. A lot of the books I read on my Kindle or I get them from my library, but this is a book I do have. This is about Michelle and her relationship with her mother, who is, I believe her mother's an immigrant and Michelle grew up as an Asian American. Yes. And so she is navigating a health journey with her mother's health and just all of the relationships and dynamics of being an Asian American. And I've heard it's really powerful. I've heard it's really beautiful. I also do need a red book for my rainbow challenge. So this is what I've been eyeing because you can't get much more red than this. Okay, this is a very exciting option. I've not read a memoir in a minute. That's not true. I'm in the middle of a memoir right now. I'm currently reading When Breath Becomes Air, which is a memoir, but I could be convinced to read another potentially. We'll have to see what the other option is, but this could be a good contender. Option number 2, I can't open it. The Strength of the Few. Yes, yes, yes. Can you tell I really want to read this? I actually do need to read this month because I need to use it as the November monthly release for HRCYED. So as much as I want to read Crying in H Mart, we are selecting The Strength of the Few for the second book on my December TBR. Now that we've put it on the TBR, let me tell you what it's about. This is the second book in the Hierarchy trilogy. I don't think it's a trilogy actually. I don't know how many books are going to be in it. It's a hierarchy series. This world is built on 3 different organizations. You have governance, you have military, and you have religion. And this boy is in a very prestigious school. His name is Vis, and he has been working up the ranks and has decided at the end of book 1 which of those divisions he wants to enter. In this book, we're following a lot of what happened in the last book. I don't want to spoil anything. So go and read The Will of the Many before you read The Strength of the Few, obviously. And I really won't tell you much more than that, but basically it's going to be the continuation of this series as this boy is navigating a whole system. He has his own personal reasons for potentially being a spy and infiltrating the government and political systems, and it's just really interesting. This is a long book, but The Will of the Many I read so fast. I felt like I read it in the blink of an eye. I was never bored. I was so gripped. And so I'm very excited to read The Strength of the Few and continue our journey with this. Option 1 for book 3. This is thick. The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. Oh, this feels appropriate. This is definitely a holiday read. I don't really read very seasonally, but I'm starting to get into it. I'm starting to want to read like wintry books in the winter and autumnal books in the autumn. You get what I mean. I'm being overly specific. But basically my understanding is these are 2 journalists. It's a romance, it's a little bit of a mystery, it's very funny, and I would be intrigued to read this. I feel like this was a really big book last year. A lot of people read it. I heard about it, but I don't remember what it's about, if that makes sense. So this is option 1 for the 3rd book. Let's see what option 2 is. The Academy. Wow, we got a very like autumnal book and a very wintry book. I think I'm gonna save The Academy for next school year because I feel like I just missed the time to read it, and because I'm trying to read a little bit more seasonally and get into that, I feel like I'm just going to pick The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year because I probably won't read this after Christmas, so this might be my only chance to read it until next year. So we are adding The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year to the TBR. Let's pick the first option for book number 1. I am sitting on my heels, hold on, okay. The Puma Years. Y'all actually told me about this because I need to fill up my zoo spot on the HRCYED board. And this, I believe, is a memoir as well. And it's about this woman who is in the Amazon, I want to say, and she is with a puma and it's basically her experience of being in the wild with this animal. So this is definitely a contender. I definitely need to get a book for the zoo category. Let's see what option 2 is for this book. Alchemized. We know I've been dying to read this book, and I'm sorry that I'm going to ignore all of your recommendations for the Puma years. I still will probably read it, but I'm going to be picking Alchemized. Let me grab it. This is a book I bought hardcover at a bookstore when I was in Georgia with my friend Abby. There's a whole travel vlog if you want to see that. I read Manacled by this author, and this is basically the reworked non-fan fiction, traditionally published version of Manacled. And I started this while I was in the airport. I am 12 pages in, and then I had to read other books for her get. I was not able to keep reading this, and I have been itching to get back to it because it's already so good. It is so good. And I typically don't buy books I haven't read, but I loved Manacled so much, and I want to support this author because I've read from them before, and this is also a book on my 10 before the end. We are putting Alchemized on the TBR, and I am thrilled about this book. Book number 5, what are we on? Yeah, book number 5, option 1 is The Gilded Wolves. I have no recollection of what this is about. Do I put a blind book on my TBR? That could be kind of fun. I know it's a fantasy series. I know there's at least 3 books, I want to say. And it is a series on my to be read series, obviously, because I put it in the jar. Pretty much I just have to trust that anything I've put in this jar, I'm interested in reading. I have no recollection of what it's about. I feel like it would be kind of fun to put a blind book on the TBR. Let's see what my other option is. Next we have Dawn of the Firebird. Okay, this is another book I know very little about. Dawn of the Firebird is a book that is being released at the beginning of December, so I actually would have time to read it in order for it to be on the TBR. And this is the book I'm hoping to read in December for my monthly new release selection. So this book is about a girl. I actually think in some ways it's similar to The Will of the Many. Her family, I believe, has been murdered. She is the emperor's daughter, and she goes into a school to infiltrate this like magical monk monastery educational institute of some sort. How many random words could I just pile in to try and describe this book? But she is basically trying to outmaneuver all of these enemies of her family who they have killed. She has power to her, and she is a weapon that is unknown by a lot of the enemies, and I believe she is trying to kind of infiltrate and get revenge. So again, in some ways sounds similar to the Hierarchy series, but I've heard people who got the ARC for this really enjoyed it. So I'm very interested in reading this, and because I don't remember anything about the Gilded Wolves, and because I need to read this for the monthly new release, I will be putting Dawn of the Firebird on the TBR as book number 5. Shall we pick for book 6? Let's see what we get. We have Lonesome Dove. This is a very long book, and as I'm looking at the books on my TBR, I have multiple long books on there already. We have The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, short. Strength of the Few, very long. Most Wonderful Crime of the Year, shorter. Alchemized, long. Dawn of the Firebird is also long. And then Lonesome Dove is, I believe, close to 1,000 pages. This is the book I considered putting on my 10 before the end, and I put Pillars of the Earth instead. It's about a town called Lonesome Dove in Texas. We are in a Western adventure book. We are following different outlaws. We are following women who have very different types of jobs and roles in this town. We have prostitutes, we have ladies, we have settlers, all sorts of different types of people in this book, and I've heard it is pretty epic and pretty wonderful. The ratings on Goodreads are very high, and it has a lot of ratings too. So this is definitely something I want to read. Whether or not I think I can accomplish reading this with the other books in December is up for debate. Definitely intrigued, but let's see what the other option is. Okay, we have Pillars of the Earth. I couldn't write that better. Didn't I just say I had wanted to read both of these books and I picked Pillars of the Earth for the end of the year? That kind of tells you all you need to know. Pillars of the Earth is a medieval book. Again, very long book because apparently I can't pick short ones. This is about the building of a cathedral. It follows the workers, it follows the monks, I want to say, it follows the townspeople, and it is just this stunning book from what I understand of relationships and endurance and people and work and all these different things. So it's funny because I got recommended both of these books by the same guy, and I really, for some reason, trusted his recommendation, and so I've been wanting to read both of these, but Pillars of the Earth is going to be my pick because it's on my 10 before the end, and I already have it. But Lonesome Dove definitely will be read in 2026. So Pillars of the Earth is the final book on my TBR. So we have The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, The Strength of the Few, The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year, Alchemized, Dawn of the Firebird, and Pillars of the Earth. This is a lot of pages. I'm like looking at all my lists on the floor. This is so many pages. I wonder if we're at like 5,000 pages between all these books because a lot of them are close to, if not over 1,000. What have I done? I'm so glad I started by picking The Unselected Journals because it is a novella, and I know that a lot of the books that I have in my TBR, a lot of the books I have in my TBR are like epic fantasy novels or adventure novels or things that have quite a few pages to them. So I'm glad we started with that because everything else is gonna take a minute to get through. I'm gonna struggle knowing what to get to first because two of these are on my 10 before the end and they're long. And then The Unselected Journals would be a really easy one, but I think I'll do that one between some of the longer books just to give myself a little reading break. And then The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year, I need to read because it's the holiday season. Like, this is my opportunity. And then Dawn of the Firebird is the monthly release. So every single book on this TBR is of high priority to me, which, you know, I guess is how it should be. These are the books I want to read this month, but I'm excited. I don't know where to begin, but I will see you next week with a reading update in which we will both discover whether or not I completed my clean sweep. I will not be completing a clean sweep of December. Just looking at how many books I have that are really long, I just know that this is not going to happen in December, but I'm excited by the options I have and excited to get to all of them, whether it's December or potentially in January. With that said, thank you for journeying with me. I hope you are having a lovely start to your holiday season. I hope you're having a lovely Thanksgiving. Keep resting, keep reading, and I will see you soon.